Yer! Alright, we're going into our next segment. We're going to be talking about anxiety. So, anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about intimate event or upcoming event or something with an uncertain outcome. If you want to talk about the definition, or do you want me to ask a question already?
Yeah. Maybe ask the question.
So kind of how can I guess to answer this one is, how do you deal with anxiety, or how can
Mm.
someone, how would you give advice to someone that is dealing with anxiety? How could you help them with that?
Well, number one, and I don't know how much this helps with the things you're anxious about, but it can help with the feeling itself. It'll be to know that probably everyone else you know is also anxious about something, right? Um, Even like for me, I don't generally give the impression that I'm anxious about anything, and for the most part, I am I'm mentally well, right? But I have definitely been anxious, especially about like in the definition, it's you're anxious about things, especially upcoming things, right? So the future, or uncertain things. So in our case, is the future again, right? We're anxious about the future, and so yeah, recognizing that you're not alone, and then also not just being aware of that, like oh they're feeling it too, but like being able to kind of unite in that anxiety will, I think, lessen the force of anxiety. And then another thing, and this is just probably the most direct, but maybe the most helpful, is to like let's say you don't have any idea about what you're gonna do, and for in general or for a specific thing, so you're anxious. Like this might not apply to everything, but in many cases it applies. Just like figure it out, like figure out, and that sounds wrong, but I mean get some ideas, right? Look it up, talk with people who are doing well, right? And you don't, like it doesn't even make sense to be jealous of someone who's doing better than you. Instead, view them as a person and as a resource to you, right? When there's someone who's doing better than you in a specific area that you're anxious about, they're there for a reason and they can help you potentially. So if you don't know what you're gonna do, maybe as a career, then kind of write down your interests and then look up, careers related to right baking or whatever, and then you see okay maybe I'll go to that culinary school, right, and pursue this job, and that's maybe I'm rambling a little bit, but the point is recognize you're not alone, and then also be solution oriented. That's probably a nicer way of saying figure it out. Be solution oriented.
Yeah, we got to figure out, guys. But basically, no. But to be serious again, anxiety can be from, caused from a normal event, like again, mostly in public speaking or taking a test, or you kind of feel like kind of nervous, restless, or kind of tense. But like what Noah said, to touch up on that, if you're really struggling on a certain field, like again, like public speaking, that's very common. A lot of people feel anxious about public speaking. With that being said, like if you know someone that's that's good at it,
Right.
or at least has like some experience in that, you can communicate
Ah.
with them and kind of figure out, like kind of help with that. And then another, again, this is another method that when doing my research about this topic, I figured out. It is called the 333 rule. So it's identify three objects in the room, three sounds, and then move three body parts. And then again, I never really kind of tried this, but I when no whenever I feel anxious, I also practice like breathing exercises. So I go a little calm,
Yeah.
because especially when taking tests, because again, like I said, I touched up on before, I struggle with test taking, and I don't really do good at that. But I figured out that that's also really good with me. And then the 333 rule, I guess I recommend, just because it seems like a pretty good thing to do. You identify three things, you like three different types of things, and you're aware of them, and it kind of gets distracts your mind from them. If
Ah.
you want to touch up on that.
So the way that the 333 rule tries to help is to like when you're in the moment that you're anxious about, you kind of be aware of things that are in your immediate surrounding, that like things that are there, the fan, the headphones, and the camera, and then I guess the point of moving three body parts would be so that you like feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I mean, I've never
Precisely.
tried that. Precisely, he said. So yeah, shoot, I'll try that. I mean, I do mostly the breathing exercises, but like that seems like something to do in the moment. Now, if you're not prepared for a test, then that's not gonna help you prepare.
Yeah.
So that's why like my figure it out thing is again it was distastefully phrased, but it was like if you know someone who's really good at taking a test, you reach out to them, and then also um, I heard this one time like uh, competence breeds confidence. So when you're prepared and when you're able to do something, you're going to be significantly more confident and thus less anxious than if you're just kind of facing it on the day of, right? So, yeah, I mean that could apply to a lot of things: test taking, public speaking, and then further out things about your future. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry I'm not smiling. It's because the next topic I want to talk about. But um, shoot, what was I gonna say? Okay, so the next topic I was gonna talk about is, did you watch Inside Out 2?
I did.
So I want to know because how I saw it was anxiety. Sorry for spoilers. If you guys haven't watched it, these are gonna be spoilers. So jump a little bit. I'll probably put the timestamp where we stop talking about this, and yeah. So in the movie, anxiety kind of takes over Riley's mind, and kind of bottles up the other emotions. And how I
Literally.
saw it was, that is honestly, I think is a true representation of how anxiety kind of works. As anxiety kind of takes over, and it kind of makes you more nervous and kind of scared, and it takes away, you know, you could argue like core emotions like happiness, fear, sadness. Again, it could bring up sadness again and fear, but joy and like again like anger and like other emotions, it kind of takes them away and puts anxiety up front and in control. I just want to know how you kind of, how would you kind of comment on this?
Yeah. Inside Out was really cool. It's um, like there's psychological fiction, right? But when we're talking about like in books and stuff, and then it's usually really detailed descriptions of what's going on in someone's head. So even if there's a really good plot, most of the words are dedicated to describing why this person is anxious, right? Or and what's cool is like Inside Out is that same premise, it's psychological fiction, but it's like so fun to watch, and it's like these bright colors, right? And I enjoyed it, and then the depiction of anxiety and a panic attack has been like, up, critically praised, right, in that movie, and I mean, it got me emotional when anxiety when basically they overcame anxiety, right? And then specifically when Joy was drawn to the like mainframe or whatever, and it's like she wants to feel joy, specific. And like when I was much younger, I never had that thought like, oh, I wish I had joy right now. And it's like seeing kind of Riley grow, and now she has a specific desire to feel happy. Like that was what made me emotional again. Like shoot, now she's grown enough to not have joy and wish she had joy. Um, and I mean that was good. And you were talking about how anxiety like bottles them up. It's funny that anxiety literally put them in a bottle. It was funny, and I guess it's showing how anxiety can overpower everything else, right? And I assume that's true in the more extreme cases. For me, it kind of goes along with the other like I mean not goes along, like it coexists with them. Even if they don't get along, they're still there together. And so yeah, I mean I don't know. I liked the movie. I thought their
Yeah.
depiction of anxiety was good, and it's oh, one more thing is that anxiety always says its goal is for Riley to be prepared, right? It always expresses this good intention, and that anxiety. I mean, what does anxiety do throughout? She overthinks and she overplans. So everything we've been talking about is connected, and I mean, a lack of communication can also make you anxious. So all these like topics we've been discussing, were there in Inside Out, but in real life, they're
Yeah.
connected and they're yeah.
I will say anxiety will always, will be with you, but again, relating back to the movie, you can see in the parents anxiety briefly comes up, but the parents were able to suppress it
Right,
away.
right.
They were able to, kind of, I guess you could say, tame it. Um, just like a kind of thing for everyone out there that's kind of maybe dealing with anxiety. You'll always, figure it out, and it obviously will always be with you, but you know, it won't control you as much as it. No, you will control it as much as it controls you.
Mm.
And then if you have another comment, you can just say
Yeah,
it.
do you have another question?
Um, is there a time you've ever like dealt with anxiety, and or like maybe a panic attack? If you want to share, I know because it's kind of a sensitive topic,
Yeah,
but
yeah. This will be good content. Ready?
that's all you. If you say something, I'll say something.
Yeah. So like, I was well, I'll just say this. Like, I was anticipating a really big performance, where potentially, you know, like if it makes it past, potentially millions of eyes could be on me, and I was like thinking about that, and I was just sitting on my bed, and I just was like overwhelmed by it, and it was crying, tears of anxiety, fear, whatever that was. And again, I was younger, like it that um, I'm not resentful at all against that opportunity, but it was just like a lot for little me to handle. And so dealt I dealt with that, and then I prayed for peace, not necessarily happiness. I just prayed for like peace, because I feel peace seems like the opposite of anxiety. And then well, in that case, I instantly felt peaceful, and I felt like I was um, kind of just like I didn't feel sad, and I was just aware. Oh, I'm crying. And I stopped like that, and then I sat up, and I was like, "Whoa, that was pretty cool." Um, and other cases, like, so that's one big instance, and it had an unusually happy resolution. And then I did the gig, and the gig wasn't very enjoyable afterward, and there was stuff like that. But another instance of anxiety in my life was like right before I came to school that summer, I developed tics, or maybe like last part of eighth grade, I developed like excessive blinking, which is one of the least intrusive tics, and so I'm grateful for that. But it's still like I'm blinking all the time. There's fast blinking, and then there's hard blinking like that. Um, and it was probably because I was on screens and books so much, right? So when you stare, you blink significantly less, which dries out your eyes. So when you're not staring, you compensate by blinking a lot. And I looked up like how often does someone blink? It was you blink once every 3 or 5 seconds, and I timed myself and counted how many times I blink, and it was like double or triple the average person. So I'm like, I was embarrassed of that. Again, it's not the word. It's if that was my biggest problem right in middle school, and that's a minor problem in the grand scheme of things, but like it made me embarrassed, and it I don't know if it's quite anxiety, because it's not like fear of something in the future, but it is a sort of fear of how I'm perceived, and like I can just feel myself. I'm not, my eyes aren't as open as often as most people's are. So that was another thing. And then my last thing would be the most common cause of anxiety is just school projects, and that doesn't need much explanation, because your grade depends on it, and that's what you've been working for. So there's that, and that's some more often. The other things I was describing were in the past. These are kind of recurring. I'm expecting anxiety, but it's not the worst thing in the world, because like overthinking, anxiety can be helpful, if you tame it. And the other one would be sort of interpersonal relationships, right? Whether it's like, yeah, just interpersonal relationships, friendships that are going through things, or especially when other friends like are dealing with their own things, and you're listening to them, and you're wondering how is it going to play out for them, not in a nosy way, just like out of care for them. So yeah, I mean, major. So I guess your answer was, your question was causes of anxiety, and it was major performances, which is like being in the public eye. It was the tics, which I ended up, overcoming through, like, it's called comprehensive behavioral intervention therapy. It's a big word for just like I manually blink. Like I force myself to blink like a regular person, a few times a day, and I drink a lot of water, supplements, things like that. School, and then just how I engage with my friends and community. Yeah.
Alright, that was well said. That was well said. I guess some causes that kind of happened to me, or like my instances with like anxiety is, I think what was the show? Route 66.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Um, that one gave me a lot because
Well, explain to them what Route 66 was.
actually I think we can explain how you put it. Let's see what the whole life said about Route 66.
That was like my biog. Like my
No, this is the shows that you've been on.
Yeah, it was my
Boring.
biography for why I was, grateful to be there.
Okay, but Route 66 was basically a show about this town in Route 66, and these two was this based in the 90s? What's the different 80s? I think it was an 80s theme, right? So it was in the 80s. It was a
Elvis,
town
when Elvis was a young dude.
Shh. Anyways, so it's about dealing with the town and the interconflicts with the town and what's going on. And then yeah, so I was a side character in it. I was kind of why's your face like that? Stop laughing. Anyways, I didn't have like a big role in it, but I guess I was kind of doing stuff like mental. I was dealing with stuff mentally. I won't say specifically. Maybe I will a different time, but
Yeah.
I was just not in the right headspace, and it was like the whole week that was building up to it, like to the show day, because it was on a Friday. So Monday through Friday, every day I would go home and I'm be honest, like I would just start crying, and I just like I was kind of like fed up and I was done. And then on that Thursday, um, again, this could be example of just being scared or like overthinking, but I mean, anxiety is just kind of like you're scared for what's gonna come up. So I was scared, like about like, okay, is the show even go right? Like I'm like so underprepared, like I don't even like want to go to school. So on that Thursday, I told myself, okay, you know what? I could just fake being sick and just not go. But then I just like but I was breaking down crying, and again I kind of like I guess I prayed, saying like to God, like I was like, please just like, hey, like let this all like go right, like hopefully everything will like everything will go well, and I'll figure out, and I'll find peace in myself, exactly like that, right? And then then I told myself, you know what? Okay, I woke up that Friday and I just said, you know what? Like that's unfair to like everyone that's running the show that I'm not going. Like, even though like, I'm a side character, like the show kind of needs, I need me to be there or else it won't go well. So I went, and then it did, and then I'd say I did well, and like I got a lot of praise for what happened. Even though I'm a very side character, I'm a side character. I didn't do anything.
Yes.
But,
He was Elvis Presley in this show. The show ended with him leading like a dance. So he was a side character, but the show could not have a conclusion without his presence. All right.
I'm cutting that out. But going back to it, going back to anxiety, or I guess kind of like going back to my situation, how I felt anxiety was, I was just scared for what's gonna come up, and anxiety can come in many forms. Like, I guess like the basis of it is just because you're just scared what's gonna come up, and you wanna prepare yourself for what's gonna come up. And then again, I didn't really do my research on this one too much, so I won't say a lot just because insensitive topic, and it could come also in disorders, like anxiety disorder can happen. You could have it, and then again, I just want to bring light to this topic just because, as teens, we always have anxiety and we're always gonna have anxiety. And just how are we gonna deal with anxiety, and how can we I guess live with anxiety instead of letting it live with us. If you want to touch up on that.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about like how there were, not just, there wasn't just one cause of anxiety, but there were layers to to, and it wasn't an emotion, it was more of a state, like a layered state. And so that, I mean, that makes it complicated. Like there, you know, you can be optimistic that everything's gonna work out, but at the same time, I understand how like someone just saying it'll be okay, it doesn't always, it's not always helpful, because there's like there's so many things that have to work out, and I don't see how they will. So it's not even a solution, it's just a recognition. Like I'm just recognizing that. And then there's you know like one disorder, and I don't know very much about this, but I do know that there's one thing called generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, which is not very rare at all. It's not like super uncommon. And there are, I mean, there are like pharmaceutical, uh, like there are drugs to help you with that, but th- I'm less inclined to like, especially from the way I was raised. Like my mom is an advocate of natural health and wellness, right? And so functional medicine and lifestyle changes, diet, and science backed lifestyle changes. So in light of what she's taught me, I wouldn't be as inclined to say, like take drugs to soothe the pain, even if they're legal drugs. It would be more like there are actual processes that psychologists and clinical psychiatrists have developed to help you. So some of that is meditation based, like mindfulness based processes that have been proven in studies to be effective, or at least not. They don't get rid of it, but they help to mitigate it. They help to reduce it in you, and that can be a relief. But again, that because I like meditation, that's all I know. But we were talking about how like if you're unsure, then try to seek certainty, or seek at least more information, um, so that you can kind of educate yourself. But yeah,
And then going off from that, I just want to say like if you are dealing with something like this, maybe go to someone like well trusted, and maybe you could also do research on it. Again, I haven't really done too much, um, but I know this is a sensitive topic. It's kind of hard to talk about. But I will say there's some different types that I've also kind of studied. Is like, I guess phobias is also one of them. Like also specific phobias, as you're kind of scared and nervous about something, and like you get something that you may not even know of. And then I know anxiety disorder. It can, it does really kind of take control of you. And it kind of clouds your judgment sometimes. And I mean, from everything that we talked about, communication, overthinking, all the different styles of how we talked about how you can kind of deal with it, you can incorporate into dealing with anxiety, as they're all subparts of anxiety that build up to it. And I think those are different ways that you can also help, kind of combat it, I guess.
yeah,
If you want to comment on that.
yeah. I mean, no, nothing. No, I mean, I can give a comment, but it wouldn't. It would just be for the sake of like saying something. If I don't have something substantive to say, then it's probably best that I don't say it.
All right, and I mean, I have enough. I have enough said. I think I got all my points out. Unless you have any comments you want to say about anything.
I will say, um, not. I will say, just some like concluding remarks about this in general. Um, I'm again grateful to you for having me on the show. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm grateful that you've like put care into this. With the setup and with your preparation. But that's like beforehand. But also, kind of being invested in the conversation, genuinely, during the discussion, because it's like when you're trying to be genuine and also have a camera there and these lights, it's like I feel like some people could, you know, it would be too artificial to be genuine, So, but I feel like you balance that well to the point where we're just like sort of documenting a conversation that you're guiding. So, I appreciate that, and then these topics have been great and thought provoking, and we were talking about thought and thinking. So, overthinking can lead to anxiety, and when you're anxious and you're confused about your own self, you can communicate worse, and that sort of ties everything together. But then again, overthinking can be positive, right? And anxiety is a natural state, and communication is foundational. So we've talked about like a range of things from the worst aspects of these topics to the best aspects, and probably the thing I'll be thinking about most was um, how to deal with these things, right? And you've pointed out kind of sort of distracting yourself or maybe centering yourself on sports or things that are worthwhile, things that are valuable to you. And I'll also be thinking, when you did your research and you pulled up the thing from Corinthians, I'll be thinking about that because like that's a powerful quote. So yeah, that's new insights that I've got. Like it's cool when you can take away something from a conversation and be like, that was a good combo, and I have this new idea in me, and it's not just it was good for the sake of being with each other. It's like it's good because you learned something. So, thank you, basically.
Alright, to wrap everything up, I have one more question for you, Nohoa.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Who's your celebrity crush? Let me know. It could be fictional. Unless you want me to answer this.
You can answer that.
Alright, so if I had to say a celebrity crush, it'd be LeBron James.
Oh my god.
And then fictional, this might be a surprise, but from Space Jam's LeBron version, it is LeBron James. Unless you wanna ask a question, or can I say something?
Yeah, I feel like I left you hanging because at the beginning you asked me 3 words.
Okay, you have them.
Right? I don't have them, but wait, I'll think. I'll just choose a few, right? And then,
Okay.
so thoughtful.
Okay. No, yeah, you said that.
Yeah, thoughtful is one. And then I'm gonna say, like, there's like this word for, maybe I'll say peaceful, or at least peace oriented, which is like that's what I pursue and strive for, which is, it's like 2 words, but it's one because it's like they're connected, or maybe truth oriented.
Can't master his way.
So,
That's good though.
and then, oh, okay, and then the third one will be community, which isn't an adjective, but like community is important for who I am, right? So community with friends, community with family, and community with the fellowship of God. Those are like essential, not just to me, because even if I was out of the equation, community would still be so important. So those are going to be the words. It'll be like thoughtful, peace, and community. Boom.
You didn't leave me hanging, but you still left me hanging on one question. Who's your celebrity crush?
No, I'm not gonna answer that.
Why not?
I'm not gonna.
I answered it. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble later.
You can edit that out.
But again, just to. Actually, I didn't even finish the intro. That's a crazy part.
What was the intro?
Oh well, I have like if dream job or dream meal.
Oh.
If anything, if you want to answer that,
Yeah,
just
those
to
are
finish
fun.
it off.
I can answer those. Well, I mean, dream job is, I've been talking about, like, I don't really know for sure, but I want it to be related to communication. And, oh, no, I have some answers. Yeah, I have some answers. So, long term, I want to, like, invest in real estate, because, right, the market kind of goes like that, but for real estate specifically, value consistently tends to increase. So if you buy a home in 10 years, it will probably be worth more. So like being kind of a real estate mogul is ideal to me. And also what that means is if you have, a dozen properties, which is a lot, that's potentially millions of dollars, in California especially. But if you have a dozen properties and people are paying rent, right? It's a win-win because they have shelter, and you're getting money. That means you don't even need to be at the location. You don't need to be, supervising every house all the time in order to make money. You don't need to be in an office. And so that's like passive income. You could be on vacation making money in your sleep. And that is ideal. And so I want, you can see I'm like, I really want to do that. But of course, the question is, how do you get the money to buy your first few houses? You know, and that's who knows. You know. So that's that. And then, did you say dream meal?
Yeah, what's your dream meal? Like, if you had to eat one meal in your whole entire lifetime, what would it be?
Okay, it has. Whoa! It
I'll
has.
edit that out.
No, it's okay. It has to. It has to be involved with noodles, basically. It has to
What?
noodles or rice. It's got to have lots of carbs. So I can't choose one, but I'll give you a few. Right, Mediterranean maybe. So Mediterranean like rice with chicken and beef kebab and hummus and this like eggplant sauce. Um, called baba ganoush. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. So, but
You're doing your best. You're doing your best.
Mediterranean, Indian food, like an Indian buffet. Plenty of Indian food, bro. I'm telling you, I love that. Right? So this is a day of meals. In the morning, the morning will be a classic American. I'll make a smoothie, right? There'll be pancakes and French toast.
Dream meal day.
Pancakes and French toast. Bacon and eggs. Specifically an omelet, right? So, ooh, you got me hungry, bro. I love food. Anyways, there you go.
And one final question for Mr. Life to wrap this up. What's your type?
You keep trying to get like these answers out of me. You're not gonna get them. But for this one, I'll give you like a really basic answer. Ready?
Male.
Like compassionate, intelligent, and beautiful. Yeah, you're not gonna get it. This height, this skin color. You're not gonna get that.
I was really hoping you were
Sorry.
saying ABGs or something.
I'm not gonna say LeBron like you. Just
I wasn't joking about that. Anyways, that will conclude the first episode of Garcia Talks. And thank you, Nahoa, for this wonderful conversation. And we'll catch you next time. Yeah.